The Improbable Dream Part 2 is an absolute joy. This is a brilliant episode of Cheers. I have a lot of great quotes that I want to share. Really thoroughly enjoy this episode. This is the second episode of the 8th season of Cheers. It is, of course, directed by the wonderful James Burrows. And as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And it starts off with Lilith and Frasier coming into the bar. And the guys, Norm, Cliff, and Woody, at kind of Frasier's invitation, feel Lilith's stomach to see if they can feel the baby moving. They can't, and also Frasier had referred to the baby as a cranelet, which is absolutely adorable. But they hear a noise, and it turns out that Frasier's stomach is rumbling because he's hungry. So they all they put their hands on Frasier's stomach instead, which I thought was a delight. A really great way to start things off. After that, we then pick up where we left off in the previous episode, which is Sam and Rebecca about to start a relationship, but then Robin Colcord comes in. And apparently Rebecca had wrote him letters with some photographs and business suggestions. And I think this paints Colcord in quite a good light, because he read the letters. He apparently didn't reply to them, but he read her letters. He took some advice she gave him about this South End property. It turned out that it worked well, and he turned quite a profit, so he came to thank her. I like the fact that he didn't just read the letters and say, how dare somebody give me unsolicited advice. He was actually kind of humble enough to realise that maybe somebody else has a good idea about his properties. And I like that. I think that's a really positive quality. Not so positive that he didn't reply to any of her letters, but I guess showing up in person makes up for that. And he's throwing things off of her desk and giving a demonstration of how things worked. And he doesn't really ask her out. She kind of invites herself out, which leads to him taking her out to Beverly Hills. And it's quite an odd moment, but it works very well for Rebecca. Colcord leaves with Rebecca. Sam doesn't see this. And he goes back into the office to pick up where they left off, and she's not there, of course, and he just comes out calling her name like a lost puppy, and it's absolutely adorable. We then cut to sometime later. Woody is making a map of every major city Colcord has taken Rebecca to over the last 3 days, and he's using beer nuts to mark the cities, which is a really creative way of showing us the passage of time and what the relationship between Rebecca and Colcord has been like. I thought that was very cleverly done. But they don't want Sam to know too much about this because they know Sam's caught up on Rebecca. And they see Sam coming into the room, so Norm says, you hide the map, Woody, I'll hide the cities. And he scoops up the beer nuts and eats the beer nut cities. And Woody explains to Sam what they was doing. And he then says to Norm, he smelt the whole West Coast on your breath, Mr. Peterson, which I rather liked. And pretty much soon after, Rebecca comes in looking rather fabulous. Her hair is done up, she's wearing large sunglasses, she apparently had a makeover recently, she lets Woody feel her skin, and he explains it makes a baby's butt feel like sandpaper. And then Rebecca does something that I think was really admirable. She apologises to Sam for running out just as they were about to start this relationship. And I think that was a really good thing for her to do, and that she hadn't completely forgotten in the whirlwind experience that she'd been having, that this was also something that would have been really significant to Sam. And Rebecca then, she goes off on one in Rebecca's style, and Sam says something that I think was quite interesting. He says to nobody, but to everybody else at the same time, how many do you have to score before you understand? Just one. But I don't like this phrasing, but to fit in with his message, he scored Diane, who is difficult to understand, and now he's trying to score Rebecca, who is also very difficult to understand. Neither are representations of the average person. They're both quite unhinged in their own ways, and I like that. I don't like that for Sam, but I do like that. We then cut to probably one of the most bizarre scenes, and I absolutely love it. It's much later, Cheers is almost in the dark, Sam is in there, and Rebecca comes in and says that she needs to talk to Sam. It's something about her relationship with Colcord, and we get a bit of suspense for maybe a minute as we think, what could possibly be wrong? What could she need to talk to Sam about? And she reaches to her neck, I guess almost as if she's about to show him a necklace or something, and then she takes her face off, and underneath is ow, And Sam bolts upright in bed. This was a dream. And I want to know, where is that face now? Where is that fake Kirstie face that Al pulled off of his head? I'd like to know where that is. And then Sam, back in real time, Sam is telling others about this. Carla says that it's a premonition. And Lilith, to an extent, agrees. And Frasier doesn't agree, to which Lilith replies, "What do your 2 less years of school tell you? Come on, Lilith, you're better than that. You know it's 2 fewer years, not 2 less years." That really irritated me very, very much. But I moved on from it. And we established that Sam is bothered because he cares about Rebecca. And he says he can't possibly care about her as he hasn't slept with her yet. And he starts to think about this. And Norm suggests, "You don't want Rebecca, you want Al." Frasier replies, "I think we can safely rule that one out," to which Al replies, "Amen." Great exchange, brilliant scene. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. We then cut to the pool room, and Sam is there throwing things, and he's clearly very, very frustrated. Carla comes in and he confesses that he realizes he cares about Rebecca. And Carla's annoyed and agitated by this, and she says to Sam, "Do you know how many years it has taken me to get over that horrible thing you had with..." And Sam offers Diane. Any Diane mention makes me very, very happy. And Sam realizes that all Rebecca wants, or probably wants, is for somebody to say they care about her. And he realizes this is what he's going to have to do. We then cut to her office, and Colcord is in there, thanking Rebecca again, gives her some jewellery. He leaves, Sam comes in, and Sam is just about to tell her, and he almost seems happy about it. Like he realises he's making a good decision. And there's also an element of growth and maturity for Sam there. It could have been, and I'm not saying I wish it was, but it could have been such a significant turning point for Sam's character. And unfortunately for Sam, just as he's about to tell Rebecca he cares about her, Colcord pops his head round the door again and says, "Rebecca, I just want to tell you that I care for you very, very deeply." And Sam's defeated expression when Colcord does that is honestly kind of heartbreaking. Again, I'm not saying I wish Sam had told this to Rebecca because, well, I can't say too much without saying what happens with Rebecca and Sam independently and together over the course of the seasons to follow, but it would have been interesting to see what would have happened next had Colcord not stuck his head around the door. But I think everything worked out in a way that's definitely best for the show. Thankfully, Sam doesn't seem to take it too heavily. He manages to keep it quite light. And he's just about to leave the room as Rebecca accidentally confesses that she and Colcord haven't slept together yet. Which is also significant because Colcord has said he cares about her without having gone to bed with her, which is what the others were trying to tell Sam that he should be doing. So I think that's quite significant. And Rebecca finally confesses it's because she's worried that she'll be terrible because she's been out of practice for so long and he'll leave her and it'll leave her back to where she started. And Sam points out, if memory serves me, that would be with me. And he does a little hand dance and she chases him out. And I like the fact that Sam was quite upbeat and having a little bit of, not necessarily great for Rebecca, but a little bit of play with the situation, because I don't like seeing Sam looking defeated or heartbroken. So I like the fact that Sam was able to have a bit of fun with the situation at Rebecca's expense. And after she chased him out, there's a knock at the door and Rebecca yells, "What do you want now, bozo?" And it's Woody. And he says he has a message for her, but he doesn't know what it means. And that message is me, 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 me. Obviously, a message from Sam saying that at the end of it, it'll all come back to Sam. And I like that. It was a nice way to lift the mood and make it a very, very funny ending. I think it's a very, very funny episode. Personal highlights, there are many. From the very beginning, the term cranelet, everybody feeling Frasier's stomach, and I think the whole Norm saying he'll eat the cities and just the whole map of the cities I really enjoyed, and the mention of Diane I really liked, and I liked the change in Sam's character and the realizations he came to. I think even though we don't necessarily progress with his relationship with Rebecca, I do think it was quite a significant turning point for Sam as a person, and his ability to recognise things about himself, things that are not necessarily things he'd want to believe. Certainly seasons 1 to 2, Sam wouldn't want to believe these things. But it's a little bit more of the Sam we got to know when he was in love with Diane, and when he was willing to admit he was in love with Diane, which I think is quite important. So a really great episode, very, very funny, very moving, and ultimately The Improbable Dream Part 2 is an absolute delight.